Welcome, it's SVPod. Stanford Steve is here. Red, posted up on the floor. The card is filled. 2 sides.
Whoa.
I got stuff on here. Important stuff. Let's start with the lead.
Metrics?
No. Yeah, actually, there's important stuff on here. The metrics, last week or a couple weeks ago, we talked about models and whatever else, NAM, GFS, whatever. Today,
Hot front.
the models say nude. It's so nice in the DMV. We got a couple of day window where it might touch 60-something. It's been cold here this winter. It's beautiful outside.
Yesterday was perfect.
I agree with that. It was like barely 50, and it felt like that's how you know it's been cold, when it just barely scrapes 50, and you're like, I'm gonna get out here in the short sleeves and get some shots up.
We're out there.
And then what's going to happen this week in this part of the world, like those little tulips will peek their heads out, like, what do we got here? And then obviously you'll get a little cold front. But right now it's beautiful here in the DMV. That's the lead. Spectacular. Nudity everywhere. Actually, keep your clothes on. Let's just enjoy that it's nice.
I drove down to the city, went to the high school games with our boy Sheehan, drove by the club, Falls Road, mobbed. 2-group wait on 10, get off, back.
The club, that's very, very, that's inside the Beltway,
Popular.
inside the Beltway. It's a little spot called Falls Road, very popular golf course in our neck of the woods. And around here, I saw people out there yesterday.
Your place
listen,
has to be nuts.
It was in the 20s, and the wind was blowing 30 last week, and we're driving home from school. My little guy's like, Dad? I'm like, yeah. He's like, those people are nuts.
Yeah.
I said, buddy, I couldn't agree more. If I enjoy golf, it's great. 25 and wind blowing sideways. What are you doing? What are you in the open? What are you heading out to Prestwick? Gonna try and qualify for the Open? Are you? Come on, buddy. I don't even know where to start. I honestly don't know where to start. Sunday night NBA window was awesome. You get to see the best in the East, best in the West. Lakers put on a little show this weekend, got people a little talk going. What we got there? But I watched an absolute bounty of college basketball.
Okay.
Can we begin there?
Yeah, let's do it.
Got one last week in February, and then it's March. Got a little bit of clarity. Think we have pretty decent idea who ones are. There's a group.
Yeah.
There's a group. I watched Auburn, and I watched them, and I realized I grade them against themselves. This week they beat Arkansas and they beat Georgia. 2 home games down on the plains. That place is nuts. And they were good, but they didn't blow me away. And I realized as I'm watching them going, you kind of Arkansas fighting for their lives.
Yep.
Cal said every game's a tournament game. You saw it as they beat a good Missouri team on Saturday night, a game they had to have, and they got it. And then a game against a Georgia team that's faded, but they've shown you that they can compete. They've got some talented guys.
Yeah.
Newell's freshman that was part of a great freshman class. But I realized when I watched, and they're like, you win, and in the end, I think they won by a dozen, and I go, And then I think, what am I doing? Last Saturday, they went to Tuscaloosa, led start to finish. They're a 1. It's just that if they don't blow people's doors off, I realize for me, I'm being too critical of them if I'm expecting every game to be like they score 94 and win by 25. That's not reasonable in that conference.
No, but there is a wow factor, and I think teams have adapted and adjusted. I think White's a really good coach, and Georgia's playing for their lives, and you get a good effort. Yeah. And Arkansas comes down, and as to your point, plays their butts off. But I keep going back in that conference to what Florida did in that building. And I have them as the top SEC team. I really do. And I know I'm in the minority. They don't have as many quad 1 wins as Auburn. Auburn's resume, I get it. But that game sticks out more than any game in that conference.
To quote you, I'm with you. I agree. Florida went down to Auburn, took a couple early punches. Ingram was hurt that game, I want to say it was.
Yeah.
No, it was Martin.
Elijah, yeah.
Yeah, Martin.
Yeah, Martin.
I said Ingram, I meant Martin, Elijah Martin. He didn't play that game. He's one of their 2 or 3 best players.
Yeah.
Didn't have Martin. How about we eat some punches early and then throw bombs? I watched Florida the other day. They're at LSU. LSU's struggling. But conference play, everyone knows what it is. At some point, everyone's going to win. I watched South Carolina some Saturday night. They hadn't won a conference game this year. Ofer. They had competed in a ton of them, just hadn't won one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Texas, who needs wins, goes into South Carolina, got rolled.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to get beat on the road in conference at some point. Florida's down, I want to say about 9 or 10. And then they win by 14.
Yeah.
When you go on the road and win that game against a team that's looking for a moment to be happy in a building that can get good, and LSU certainly can, we know that, that's impressive. Not as impressive, obviously, as beating Auburn and Auburn, but just not having a night where you just chalk it up and go, Florida doesn't have those. I'm with you. I think Florida's an absolute 1 seed. And it's a problem for me because I live with a bunch of them.
Oh.
We're already drawing battle lines. So push comes to shove, who you rooting for? Like kids, both? That's not how it works.
They're going to play in the Sweet 16.
Oh, God, that would be so terrible. 1-4?
Yeah.
Or 1-5?
1-4.
Please no. Please no. And it'll be, please no.
It's better that than any later in the tournament.
Yeah, because then the stakes really. Hey, wifey, and whatever kid wants to put on Gator gear, and all my family down in Jack's, you're on your own.
Not in my house.
And by the way, I mean this with every fiber of my soul.
That's a fact.
Facts. I'll go in the basement. I don't care. And anyone that wants to come down those stairs, you better be repping the right squad.
You know what's a great idea?
Please tell me.
If you guys all went to the game.
Ooh. Well, you guys can get your own tickets.
You want to talk about battle lines?
Go sit over there. Hey, listen, the thing that's a bummer is that I've watched them a ton because obviously when they're playing, they're on. And I think they're excellent.
Yeah, they are.
They're golden coaches, the way Oates coaches, the way, and I'm going to get to this game, I'm going to save it, the way Kevin Young at BYU coaches.
Oof.
People have adapted to what basketball is, and if you've got the dudes to do it, and you can space, and you can shoot, and you're like, any three's a good three, fine. Well, got to have dudes that can make them.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, you play teams like that, and you better, as the big man says, buckle up. And you mentioned a couple of them. Like, Tennessee's the team in the SEC that I always think they're the one that worries me because they get involved in rock fights, and then Chaz Lanier's like, hold my beer. How about that show he put on Saturday down at College Station?
I saw our buddy Lucci sitting front row. I texted him at halftime. I said, you getting out there to stop Lanier? Was it 6 or 7 threes?
I think it was 6 for 7 in the first half.
That's the team. I think they're different this year. And because of him.
Because of him.
And Ziegler is better offensively, where he used to shy away and always pass when you needed him. He's taking these shots now,
and
they're going in. I mean, a monster one in front of the bench.
Yeah.
But I look at Tennessee as elevating them to the teams that can win at line.
The depth of the SEC is such that the next team I'll mention is Alabama because they needed a response. They got one. Beat Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. Sears.
It's late in that game, and he comes down. There's under a minute. Just pulls a three because why not? Cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how they play. And we've said this a bunch, and I'll continue to say it about them. If you're up 15 on them, it doesn't matter to them. If they're up 15 on you, stay in the fight because they're going to keep chucking. And if they got up 15 because they're hitting all these threes, they're going to reach a point where they're not going to make all of them.
Mm-hmm.
They keep both sides in it, but that Sears three, I just shook my head thinking, we're really going to pull. Okay, up. Or excuse me, Dirk invented this, by the way.
Yeah, but now it's like upside down,
and everybody's got this.
Everything.
The Euro three, also in Inglourious Bastards.
There you go.
That was the tell.
That was at the bar.
Guy said 3. No, needed to go 3. Dirk was the originator of this, Euro 3. Now everyone's got it. Would call me this,
oh God,
that, whatever. But however you throw your threes up, Sears did. That's who they are. Kentucky impressed me though, the way they battled, and that's a team that I don't know what seed line they're going to be on, but Pope's done an awesome job year one in Kentucky. The depth of that league is, we've said it all year, it's outrageous. But there are a couple of other teams here in that 1-2 space. Work our way backwards. I think Russillo's hung on to his St. John's header on his Twitter page for years. Anyone that's hung with the Johnnies, you are being rewarded because that team is serious.
Mm-hmm.
They put it on UConn yesterday, and I think that's a little bit of what it says about both teams. This UConn team, we've seen it all year. Far from vintage, been spoiled, 12 straight tournament wins, kind of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But St. John's bodied him.
Yeah.
That impressed me. And they also shot it well. That's not a great shooting team. That's the one concern. But if they're going to shoot it like that, they can win a title.
And they're playing games in the Garden, as always. That's a venue. It's a neutral site. And, I was asked on our call, with our show last week why they were on the list to win it. And I know he's won 2 in a row. Pitino's the best coach in the sport. In game, how he handles his team, and what I love all the time with his teams, going back to Louisville, Kentucky, the Knicks, the Celtics, when he had it, he dictates. They dictate how the game is going to be played. And if you're in it, you're in it. But again, buckle up. And the way they swarm you, you can't get by them. 6'9" guys, 6'10" guys. They did it with a bunch. I think it was one of the guys didn't even play a bunch of time, Wilcher. And then he got him going in the second half. But to be up 18 at half, they made 6 threes, I believe, in the first half.
They had 50 points at halftime.
They could have beat anyone in the country in that first half.
Yeah,
if they're going to play like that.
Remember years ago talking to Chris Long about the Eagles Super Bowl run. They played Minnesota in the NFC Championship game. They played Meek Mill. They played Dreams and Nightmares before the game. And Chris Long's quote was, anybody could have gotten it that day.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have mattered who came into that joint. Anybody was getting it that day. Philly was going to stomp them. Well, anybody. All these SEC teams we mentioned, anyone could have gotten it yesterday from St. John's in the Garden. They scored 50. And again, that's not typically the way they operate. But the thing I always wonder about these SEC teams that have depth and have athletes and have shooters, they want to play in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Can you win a game when it's 66-64 at the under 4, and now it's grind and it's tight?
Mm-hmm.
St. John's can win like that.
Yes.
They built to win like that. And if they're going to go out and start making threes, well, shit, have fun with that. And I give St. John's credit because Pitino was seen for a period of time post-Louisville as toxic, untouchable. Then he goes to Iona and gets a chance to put a buffer between him and the past. And St. John's had been in the wasteland. Look at their history of who they were. Mostly the Carnesecca era. And they were a fixture in the tournament. They were a Final Four threat. Not titles. That's the one thing that's eluded.
Mm-hmm.
But they're New York City, tough, rep the idea of what New York City basketball was for decades. Look at them since 2000. They haven't been in the tournament since 19. They've only been a handful of times a century.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, whatever shit we're going to take from Pitino. All it took was the Stones to say, people are going to bring up stuff. Excuse me. We're going to have to just not blink for a week.
Yeah.
If people want to write stories. And then you know what we're going to say? We got, to Steve's point, one of, if not the best coach in basketball. We're going to be good again. And when we are, now what? And that's where they're at.
You mentioned 2000. That's interesting because 99 is the year UConn finally got over the hump. And it was that 99 tournament, if you go back. And that's where that's the last time MSG for St. John's UConn was a St. John's building. And then talking to a bunch of people that were there yesterday.
It was again.
And that's when because all the UConn fans were in the 200s. And whereas the last 20, 25 years, they were right in it, and it was a UConn building. And that's what was very evident yesterday, watching it on TV and then talking to people that were there. And that's like being in that building for that game is the best. Like I said yesterday, we were texting with buddies. I said that's the best place in America right now. It was noon tip at the Garden for UConn St. John's, knowing that stake, knowing the feelings. There's history there, obviously. But to see the Johnnies back, have that building be there because it's been a UConn home building for 20, 25 years, it was really, really cool to see. And you talked about the people that have been through it with St. John's. They were all there front and center yesterday. I was happy for them.
You think about the way Jay Wright would always describe the Big East tournament and how it's winning a Sweet 16 game versus winning a Big East tournament game. People that know what the Garden's like in the city in the spring for that tournament, when you got the right combination of teams, there's nothing like it. But think about what Steve's saying. You're talking about a building takeover.
Yes.
In New York City for decades. And if you're St. John's, just having to eat it. And eat it. Not for a little bit, for decades.
Quarter century.
Oh, that's sickening. And so UConn's going to get their people in there. That's a very big and proud fan base who has been on top of the world for 2 years. And they feed off their coach. And yesterday they had to be humbled because they got worked. So it speaks to where both teams are. UConn will be a tournament team. I'm trying to imagine. You really imagine them like on an 8-9 line opposite someone? Someone's going to get them on Saturday on CBS. That isn't going to be fun. But, I mean, you put on the tape of them and you go, all right. All right.
Yeah, the biggest thing is the playmaking at the point guard position. When you go through Calhoun's years, you go through what Ollie had and what Danny's done a great job. I mean, I just keep we have family in town, both obviously all UConn big, and I just said, like, the thing that comes away with watching UConn was how good Newton was for them because he got them whenever they needed one. He got it, and they just don't have. I mean, yesterday they played the freshman from Philly 0, and he just couldn't do it. I mean, he got bodied a bunch, turned it over, went to the line, and he's playing against men. But
grown-ass men.
I keep saying that's why I want to have Lenardi on like this week because, you know, everybody has their lines now and seed line and everything, but everything's going to get focused at the 1 seeds and the bubble. But what is going on in the middle? Like right now I see UConn, Kansas, Baylor as an 8-9.
Yeah.
One of those teams, if not multiple, are going. They're going to beat a 1 seed. I'm convinced.
Could be. Kansas is fascinating because they have early season wins that are doing a lot of heavy lifting right now for them. Because Steve, they were down 38 points on Monday to BYU. We followed.
Yeah, we were watching.
38 points. Now they get Oak State in a get right game at home, so they stomp them. But
yeah, and people laugh, but like being in the Pac-12 since Colorado and Utah came in. And then always knowing what BYU brought, like that Big 12 going on the road, you know what you're up against, but that thing is totally different. I think K-State did Utah and
BYU.
They
lost to BYU first.
Oh, Kansas is at Colorado tonight.
Correct.
That's what it is. Like that 3 games in Colorado. Colorado got somebody yesterday. Who they
Colorado beat Baylor this weekend.
Yeah. Like it's I mean, I can't imagine how long.
Altitude travel, man.
Yeah, but the road where it's like, all right, we got that 3-game swing, and then you're in it, and you're like, holy shit, we got 2 more of these?
Yeah.
So it's different, and it brings a totally different thing. I thought Houston, speaking of the Big 12, was awesome in that win. Everybody made it a point. Game day was there. Iowa State was down 2 guys. I got to give them picks on our ESPN bet thing. On Friday. I don't know, guys are out. I took Iowa State. Wake up. You idiot. Horrible line. It was 9.5 and went to 11.5.
They got there.
They ended up covering the 9.5.
Yeah.
But sorry, people. That's what the thing I got to do. I'm not happy with it. You don't think I was mad Saturday morning waking up to that news? But Cryer And that's who I thought would be the guy. They're starting to get guys. Sharp's awesome. That one he hit felt like from the logo. I believe Houston and Florida are the two favorites right now, and I get Auburn and Duke, but I look at Houston and Florida as the teams I'm most confident in because of how they do it. But Houston, like I was thinking about, can they get to the 1? They lost to Alabama early in the year, right? Alabama went there, or Auburn went there and won.
I don't remember.
I think Auburn went there and won. Was that the fight on the flight or whatever? Anyway, those two teams I feel the best about, and I get it. You could come at me with Duke and Auburn all you want, but those are the two that, as solid as there are, and it feels like game after game.
They lost to Bama in overtime in Thanksgiving.
There you go.
Thanksgiving. They've lost 3 games in overtime this year. 1 by 1, 1 by 3, 1 by 5. Then they lost to Auburn as well.
Yeah,
lost to both those teams.
That was the flight game.
Lost to both those teams.
I believe now after they won, he's 30-3 in Big 12 games.
It's stupidity.
That's insane.
I love Sampson.
Yeah.
As IU looks for another head coach, and they look back and go, "Wow, we had a Hall of Famer here, and we got rid of him over text messages."
IU's hot.
He stomped Purdue yesterday.
I was listening to Goodman and Fanta and Douster after the Duke game on their Field of 68. Those guys are incredible what they do. They made a really interesting point
about
Woodson.
Okay.
He still hasn't formally admitted that he's stepping down. Like, if they got hot and got in the tournament and made a run, like, you're going to get rid of me? I never said I was leaving. It was this spiel going on. But I just thought it was really – because they talked about that game, and I was like, wow, they could beat Purdue, I guess. Yeah, they've been on the bubble. You're still going to get good wins in the Big Ten. I don't know what their schedule is.
They won at Michigan State, who's going to be who's going to be top 10 this week. They just stomped Purdue with an incredible second half. And I look at this – I didn't intend to talk these teams right here because I don't want to forget about Duke and that speaking of games in the Garden kind of thing. But we're here right now, so okay. I see the first 4 out, and it's North Carolina. How? They're 1-10 in quad 1 games. The one win they have is on a neutral court against UCLA. I think that's the one they have by 2 points. What are we talking about? Like, Indiana has far better wins, just those 2 I mentioned, at Michigan State and rolling Purdue, although Purdue's lost 4 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Oilers are sliding fairly significantly here. You drop 4 in a row. The Indiana thing is wild. I thought about that yesterday with Woodson. You saw the way his team reacted with him in the interview afterwards, where they, and this isn't unusual. They're in it together. That's a passionate fan base. They want someone else. Don't think Brad Stevens is coming, no matter how many of you message board people are going to try to convince yourself otherwise. I don't think. I could be wrong. Brad Stevens shocked us all once. We were like, wait, he's doing what? So maybe, but I don't think so. But I thought about that same thing yesterday, and I looked at it from Indiana's perspective and thought, just from who they've beaten, they've got a couple. You need more than that, but like first outs, North Carolina, based on what? We do that blind resume thing? Put the numbers up and show me that. And Lenardi knows it so much better than I.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't me casting aspersions to him. I'm literally asking the question, based on what? What metrics are there that tell you that? What? The bubble's bad? Yeah, okay, it is every year.
That's what I take away from this. Please do not expand this thing.
Right?
I mean, good Lord.
I don't see how many more we need to argue about. I just want to know who you're capable of beating. Who have you demonstrated you can beat? Indiana's good's pretty good. And they competed. They competed at Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Had a chance to win that game. Had the lead late. I don't know. It is kind of wild. That is kind of wild. When it combine Purdue sliding down the standings, the wheels have totally fallen off Illinois, and get us back to games in the Garden. Duke beat Illinois on Saturday by 43 points. That feels a little like the St. John's thing in what I mean by that is it's about both teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Illinois is a disaster right now. They got top 20, went to Michigan State, played a really good game, had a chance to win it late, had a turnover with under 5 seconds, I want to say it was. Then they went 4-4, and now they've lost 3 in a row, all by double digits, including one by 43 points. And the Illinois fans will say, we got sick. What did you get? What virus went through your team? Get a Z-Pack. Get a shot of some penicillin or something. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be flip. I realize this is a real thing. But how sick what happened? What did they get that turned them into this team where they lose by 43 points to Duke? I don't know. Because early in the year, they looked really, really good. But right now, the team of those that looks really, really good is Duke. Flag has become Neo in the Matrix. I thought about that because we were supposed to have him on after the Virginia game, and then something happened. And I realized if I ask you a Neo in the Matrix question, you're born like 10 years after the movie comes out. You're like, what's the Matrix? The game slowed down. He does whatever he wants on his time. He's excellent, but that team really is really something right now.
Really unselfish. That's what I watch. They don't care who scores. And just back to, if you go back and watch it, and I noticed it right from they just kept going to the hoop, and Illinois had zero interest in trying to get in front of anybody. It was bad effort. And you talked about
what's it cost to try hard, Steve?
Zero.
There you go.
Takes zero talent to hustle or try hard. Zero. But no, I thought you saw with Shire after the game, as relaxed as he's been, because it feels like, he's a prideful dude, and he won a title there, and that team finally found some unselfishness, and he was the point guard of that squad, and I think this team embodies it. The issue is the teams that they're going to run into, they need multiple bigs, and they need Malik. If they don't have, I don't see them winning it without him. He's got to be healthy. What he does, you go back to the Auburn game, he bodies up Broome. Broome's, not a non-factor, but not what we've seen him.
And it's a shoulder.
Best.
It's a shoulder,
dislocated
right?
shoulder.
Well, that's scary because how many times have we seen a guy that gets that and then they wear like a wrap?
It's a harness
to try to keep it in place, and then invariably it seems to pop out at some point.
No, it's dangerous, and it goes to how many times has he done it? They said the surgery, so that's good, but it's all about healing and getting it strong enough and strengthening everything around it. It's not fun stuff. But I don't see them winning a title without him. I really don't. He's that important. Loved when they got him. Gillis has been great as another body, but he just doesn't have the size. But if they shoot it and do that well, but defense has been – that's why I love them so much. Watching them is their defense, and Malik was the start of that thing. And Malawach has gotten better. I'm super excited to see what he does at the next level because,
it's like the light came on for him, too. You've seen how different he is from the beginning of the year to now, right?
You get 7-footers, but he jumps whatever, like the old grabbing a $20 bill off the glass. I'll take him over anybody. The range he could provide, and he's just getting more comfortable in the way they play defense. He challenges everything, and then I think he's a different player too if they have Malik, because he knows if he gets a couple that Malik could come in. So. It's they're awesome to watch. I do wonder if they do slip up, how much I think Broome will end up going and winning it, even though I don't agree with the Wooden Award. And if they lose, it's going to get the badness of the ACC is going to get brought up a lot more, and that possibly could cost them because those games early on they lost them all.
Correct, but that he was still a college freshman.
Yeah.
It's the old analogy. Now you're not a freshman anymore. The game has changed for him. But, and you accuse me of being anti-ACC or whatever else. I watch a lot of basketball. The ACC is not very good.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to be a hater. It's not a good league. And so you're not tested in the way that teams in other leagues are. And that's where the concern would come in. And it's very similar to the way Gonzaga used to be. They're going to aggressively schedule in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of the 5 premier programs in the sport. You're always going to get standalone Garden games, Chicago games, wherever, and made-for-TV specials. So, sure, you played a bunch of people in November. Cool. The way that that Gonzaga would go through that WCC schedule where they just weren't tested for 3 months, that's not ideal. And I don't think Duke's played Clemson.
Yeah, they lost them.
Oh, right. At Clemson, they lost. Clemson's actually playing really well. They made the Elite Eight last year, didn't they?
Sure did.
They're good again. But so that's the one time they played them. Might be worthwhile to see them again in the ACC just to, all right, let's remind ourselves that what the deep end of the pool is like. But these are first world problems, as they say. You're really good.
Yeah.
I trust that you're really good. It's just the old thing about, again, have you been in a game at the under 4 where the game's in doubt? They haven't been a lot of those.
Mm-hmm.
The game they were against Clemson was actually incredible shot making back and forth, and Clemson just made one more shot and got one stop. So Duke's clearly in that group of teams that could win 6 games. Has anyone joined the list?
Oh, good. I believe Tennessee. So the list right now.
Added because of Chalamet making a bunch of threes against Texas A&M.
And Zakai. The list currently. Auburn, that can win the title. Yep. Auburn, Florida, Duke, Alabama, Houston, Iowa State, I still have on there when healthy. Texas Tech is the next team that could come off. But they got a big chance. They play Houston tonight. St. John's is on there. Michigan State is on there. Even though they lost Saturday, if you are an Arizona fan, you got to be sick with that call. But Arizona is on there. And the Terps and Tennessee's on there. In the waiting room, Purdue sliding off. Michigan's that game Friday night, momentum swings, and then, Michigan State just playing, I thought, a great second half. Wisconsin, that loss.
Up 17 at home.
Holy shit.
Shellstead is not afraid.
Lord.
The game for the guard for Oregon, he took about a 28-footer, buried it, overtime, and they won. That's impressive.
Marquette.
They've lost a few.
These
are waiting rooms?
These are in the waiting room.
Okay.
Yeah. Kentucky, when healthy, A&M, Missouri. Those are all the waiting room.
Okay.
And the team that's not on that list, either list, that I thought had the best win Saturday, St. Mary's.
Which gets us to the team I have written down. Yeah, they beat them at home, but now they swept Gonzaga. They went into the kennel.
And it was going.
And they were the better team.
And that's never been done before. The opposing team clinching the division or the conference in the kennel. And Mikey was unbelievable, but they got older guys. They don't play at the speed. I think you've seen Mahaney go from St. Mary's to UConn and really struggle playing night in and night out in a major conference.
That's a good point.
But this team, like I said with Tennessee, I feel is different because there's always a wonder. St. Mary's, what was their seed going to be? Because you talked about who you get compared to. They were always compared against Gonzaga.
Right.
Gonzaga was a 1, and St. Mary's would have their years where they could play with them. They couldn't play with them. But I just loved it because those teams do not like each other, and everything pointed to Gonzaga with the moves they made, and being at home in that environment and have a last gasp. And now they got to go to San Francisco and Santa Clara. Those aren't gimme wins. And where are they going to end up? That tournament basically gets you. You got to win. If you're the 1 or the 2, you got to play 2 games, I think, or win 2 games to go to the tournament. So Gonzaga, I don't know what to do with.
That's the question. They are 11 in KenPom. 11. Shout to Nigel and the boys from Spinal Tap. It goes to 11. They're 11 in KenPom. Their best win, Steve, came the 4th of November against Baylor, who's now a 16-11 team itself. Gonzaga, again, the analytics love them. 11. I don't know what seed they are. And they've got, what is it, a 26-year? I always get the number wrong of how many years in a row that they've made it to the tournament. But
26 would be 99, yeah. Yeah, they made it every year since then.
Well,
could beat Stanford that year.
I mean, they'll make it, I assume. Like, the numbers are too good. But, like, at some point, they still have games. They play San Francisco and
Santa Clara.
Like, Dons are good.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, been fans of Fewey forever. He's run a great program. Joined the list of people that short list of multiple number ones. The only thing they haven't done yet is win that last game.
Yeah.
But this Gonzaga team is really confusing because the resume, not great. The numbers are awesome. And the numbers, the committee's clearly shown they're going to use that as being instructive. But this is why, like, when you saw a couple weeks ago when the committee put out their 16 and KU was still on the 4 line.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you guys have like a dish or cable or streaming? What services do y'all have? Have you watched them? They're on the 4 line. What? I mean, I have all the faith in the world that Bill Self will figure stuff out. But at some point, you are who you are. And this I can't make the 30-some-odd point win over a bad Oklahoma State team be, that's really who they are. So who you are analytically versus who you are resume-wise is going to be an interesting thing for people to try to figure out. And Gonzaga is the shining example of, what do you guys see here, committee?
That's my worry. We've both had serious issues with who seeded this tournament.
Yes, we have.
And I get it. The Big Ten's going to have a ton of teams. SEC might set a record. They cannot have a conference game in the round of 32. Just give me that at least, please. It's not that hard. You can move a couple seeds. I'm sure those teams would be more than happy not to have to play a team they possibly played 3 times in a game to go to the Sweet 16. You could at least give me that, committee, please. Because that's what worries me.
It's going to be hard to keep people separated because there's so many teams from these leagues that are going to be in there. You mentioned a game that was as good a game as I saw this weekend that unfortunately all anyone's talking about is the end game and calls that were made.
Yeah.
Which sucks because if you saw Arizona BYU, you saw 2 teams who both shot basically 55%. Both shot 45% from 3. Both scored in the mid-90s in a regulation college basketball game. They play 40 minutes. 40 minutes, both in the mid-90s, and all anyone's talking about was should Caleb Love have had an and one at the end of the game that was not an and one, and did BYU get fouled? I would say, as an objective observer that had no skin in the game, I thought it was an and one, and I don't think there was a foul on the other end. That's what I thought.
I'm completely biased because I had BYU, so I can't answer.
So you were rooting for them?
Yes.
Well, at least you're honest. But you had what, money line, or you just had them plus the number?
Money line.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, what was the get back there?
Pretty good.
And it was
6.5 or 7.5.
Wow, that's rather gutsy.
Yep.
Well, then you have to recuse yourself from the conversation.
I am.
Okay. Well, the guy that got fouled, Richie Saunders, if BYU folks that have the reverse angle that you want to show the guy that with the thigh, this is a foul. Always, always, always in sports, ask yourself this question. If that call went the other way and that was a foul against you and Arizona went to the free throw line to win the game, would it be a foul? Because if you're being honest with yourself, the answer to that would be no. No. That guy Saunders can really play. I love the way BYU plays.
Yeah.
Demon?
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, the Russian guy, the big skinny Russian guy, can go. Gets handle. I mean, he looked the part. Like early this year, this guy was like a revelation. Then I think he kind of got lost in the sauce, but he does a lot right for them. But they got a bunch of guys that all are great in their role.
They got that Kada guy.
The big guy.
Oh my God. I think his brother's a rugby. He left Utah. I think.
They just run screens, and then he rim runs, and then does chin-ups.
Good Lord.
Dunks on the
specimen.
Yeah, he's an adult for sure. But then they spread you out, and then they hit shots. And this guy, everyone's going to talk about AJ's getting all this money to go there. Sure, money's a giant part of the reason. But I would think that having deep NIL pockets and having an NBA dude that runs what they run is going to be an appealing thing for them moving forward. Watch them play.
Yeah. No,
what seed are they? And then it gets tricky. Then it gets tricky because of the Sunday thing, and they can't play.
They had 6.
They were like on the 8, 9, 10 line. Like, no chance.
No.
What, are you kidding? Again, do you have a dish or a streaming service or cable of some sort? Watch them play. What line are they on?
Yeah, because Kansas, and I get it, Kansas has better wins because they're out of conference at the beginning of the year.
They were up 38 points.
And they had the same exact record, conference and overall, going into that game.
Correct.
What was verified after that game, and we love crazy fan bases. We got to get to the local crazy fan base here.
Uh-huh.
But BYU and Arizona, they're crazy people.
Yeah,
they got a lot of crazy in them.
Stories from Utah, both Utah and BYU, they're aggressive fans, but that they're chanting stuff.
Yeah,
Arizona.
You don't need that.
Arizona.
True for your team.
We're pro McHale.
Heck yeah.
Pro that fan base. That's not, come on. None of that. Take a deep breath. Keep your poise. I get it. Looked like a hand one. Looked like it wasn't a foul. Let's not bring in faith into this. That's not what we're doing.
Question.
Yes.
Do you want the double bye?
Yes.
The Big Ten tournament?
I sure do. Oh, well, I want to win the whole thing.
You like the idea of playing a less game?
Yeah.
Because that difference of the 4-5, you're going to play a team that played the day before.
Kick the can down the road. Wait till Friday.
I'm with you.
Wait till Friday.
I'm with you.
I much prefer that.
Is this our last gasp at a great building?
Yes.
Wednesday night?
No. Well,
come on.
Here's the thing. I have been vocal, trying to encourage the student body to get out there. They're not the issue now. It's all you old heads.
Yeah.
I
got pictures from Thursday night.
All you entitled old heads that remember the glory days of Gary and this program, and you complain about this, that, and the other thing. Do not bring up the 6:30 start time. Is it ideal here? It is not. The TV folks don't give a shit. They don't care. It's different here than Bloomington, Indiana, West Lafayette, East Lansing, Champaign. This is Washington, D.C. Traffic here is buns. 6:30 start is a calamity. But no one wants to hear it. And this isn't me saying, just leave work early. I get it. You're an adult. You have a job. Maybe you can't do that.
Work from home that day. New day. It's 2025. Come on.
If you're able to plan accordingly, to be in the building when the game starts, it's going to be a great building. You just don't want it to be at the under 12. But yeah, look, it's the bandwagon folks, and there's a lot of that in this town for all the different teams. But this ain't a student issue. This is an old head issue. This is the people that are you're waiting, and I don't know what you're waiting for.
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
I don't know what we're talking before the rankings come out, but they're going to be ranked higher. Michigan State's top 10. They're number 1 in the conference. These are the nights. These are the nights when you want it to be great, and it's not on the students because they're going to carry their end of the bargain. It's on everybody else. We've covered this. You know what to do.
There's also people that do have an advantage with working. And there's also this idea, they open the arena like an hour before tip-off.
Uh-huh.
You could go there early, grab a dog, grab a pretzel, get some corn, have a couple suds. Get there early. What's wrong? Why can't anyone be early anymore?
Well, I would say trying to get there early, given the Beltway challenges, is going to be a bit of a chore Wednesday. But let's not make excuses. Let's find
plenty of fine restaurants to go eat on campus.
There you go. Let's find solutions. Let's not talk problems.
Be early. 6:30
from Stanford Steve. lips to your ears.
My God.
It's just exciting. It's an exciting game because, again, it's what you wait around for. It's what you hope for. You want a team that has a shot. This team does. Michigan State's won. They're tough as nails. You saw that second half in Ann Arbor on Friday night. I beg your pardon. They won't blink. We get it. But you know what? I don't think Maryland will either. And Maryland actually had a great weekend. Teams helped them out. Oregon winning, Indiana winning. It all sets them up for that double bye situation. But you know what? Maryland needs to help Maryland. It's not anyone else's job to do that but Maryland. I'm sure they'd say that. Like, we'll take care of us. So now you got a game. You got a game that means a whole lot. Go win that. Go win it. And then just this little note to the students for that last game, Northwestern. What's Pat McAfee always say? I'm up to something. When Pat's up to something, like, big stuff's happening. This is just your boy, Uncle Kevin, KP, has a little company up in Baltimore. Little logo that, yep. We're up to something. See if we can't come up with a little something, a little swag for the students for the last game, that Northwestern game. A little collab between KP, SVP, our friends up in Baltimore. We'll see what we can come up with for you guys. Just keep that in mind for that last game. File that away.
Can I ask one word?
Yeah?
Is there going to be an acknowledgement?
What?
Of something that people have wanted you to adopt. A nickname.
Oh, what? Me?
The team.
What, Crab 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, it's part of it. Figure it out.
I just laugh at all your stuff because all any Maryland fans want you to do is acknowledge that.
Patience. Sit tight. See what we can come up with.
Serious question about your Terps, your beloved Terps.
Okay.
It's awesome being across from the court and watching you because you're a psycho.
I cheer for the team.
But you go double fist pump. Double fist pump is different.
Is it?
Yeah. Because that's rage in there. And it's love. And it's awesome. I love seeing it.
I feel like there's a butt coming.
No, not at all. No,
Okay.
It's awesome.
Right.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, this is great. My man's in his element. Freaking Gillespie comes out and shoots one from half court to go up 3-0. There was a point where I was wondering if USC was going to be able to score. And it was great. And I can't wait for you Wednesday night to be there in even a better atmosphere as old Coach Izzo comes to town. I'm sure you guys will have words before and after that game. But you do have to work that night too. So, all right, don't celebrate.
I think I'm coming suited and booted. I think I'm going to walk in that jacket.
Have you ever done that?
I went once in a suit because I hosted a shindig pregame, which celebrated the national championship team. But no, I've never been there. Can I double?
You got to go Clark Kent.
The
boys in the equipment room have gear that you could wear for the game.
So go in Terps gear and then change.
Just come to work and just bring the suit on a hanger. Even though I've never seen you do that.
See, that's the thing. I don't know how to do that. I like to arrive for work ready to go. I also think there's also something like a little bit sinister about walking in a suit. Like what's up? Because Iz is my guy. All-time winner in the Big Ten. Hey, Scott, look, I don't know. Hey, Tom, don't you start bitching before the under 16 and get those refs on your side. Don't you do that.
He'll be rare.
Don't you do that, Tom. Because I'll be eyeballing you. I'm going to be eyeballing you, Tom. Don't make me. You know what? He'll be all right. I'm sure. I don't know. We'll figure out who cares what I wear? But yeah, what? So what are you saying? That I'm a lunatic?
It's awesome.
We're all from somewhere.
That's
I'm
what I'm
from
saying.
there.
It's how you root for your team.
That's it.
The point is, more people need to be psycho at the games.
That is true. We've talked about it. Good, but great. Wednesday's got to be great.
Has to be.
You know what? I'm going to say it. Wednesday's got to be great, or it's on us and we're all full of shit.
Oh.
Are we? Are we?
Mm.
Is it all just a bunch of talk about what it used to be? No one wants to hear about that. No one cares about the old days. I was there when they chanted, "Don't fuck with Buck." Back in the 80s, all right? I was in Cole when Gary turned the heat up to 80, and Lefty did it before him. I remember it.
All the secrets.
I remember it fondly. But this is right now.
Yeah.
We're here right now.
I don't want to hear about Cole.
We're here right now.
Xbox.
So be here right now.
Bring it.
What I'm saying. I'm coming suit and boot. I might have a fedora on just to look like some kind of a lunatic and chuck my hat and all that. Why would I do that?
Just ask them to give you a hoodie.
Steve, do you think? Look at me.
You'll forget it. That's my point.
I can go in regular gear and just bring a suit in the car. It's not that complicated.
You'll forget it.
Forget what? The suit?
Yeah.
I know I have to work. I'm an adult.
But I mean, there's socks and the shoes. You're not an undershirt guy, right?
No. I don't sweat a lot.
Oh, you're going to be sweating Wednesday.
That's a fair point.
Well, you know what? I'll give you a hype towel. You get a hype towel.
There we go. I'm an adult that knows how to do things like use an app to order food.
Hey! We got another one tonight? What are you feeling? What are you in the mood for?
No, we got TGL's late. We're
on at like 2 a.m. tonight.
Yeah, it's a late one. One of those deals where I looked at remember the old days, and it was awesome when Big Monday it would be UNLV at like the Gauchos. Those were the days, man. Well, we're on after a late one tonight. I'm looking for a show of hands. There's not a single human watching.
Person.
Not one. But we'll be there for you, America. But I don't need to. I think I'm going to eat with the fam the next 2 nights. But the net of last week, me complaining and whatever else, is that we navigated the choppy waters, got an order. My guy came. There was no exchange of words. It was like a Jason Bourne movie. This guy came up on a full-on scooter, and had a black motorcycle helmet and full leathers. Shout to Big Body Best. Many leathers! He had leathers, a helmet, a Vespa, and a bag. And then he hands me a phone, and I had to put a code in. And I knew that code because I'm an adult. And then I had my food. And let me tell you, it was some delicious Chinese. And if it's $50 for some pork fried rice and a triple delight, so be it. And I believe that's what it cost.
I felt so bad for that food because that food never had a chance.
In the history of me eating like an absolute animal, that might have been. It was primal. It was primal because it was me celebrating my victory. And I was hungry because I hadn't eaten the night before. But I shoveled food in my mouth.
That's what I said. You need a new utensil.
A
spoon and a fork doesn't work for you. I know we got sporks out there and all that. You need a mini shovel. You do.
It's so disgusting. Why did I put the triple delight on the floor?
I have no idea.
I don't know why I did, but that one on the floor, and then I didn't spill it. I just set it on the floor. I didn't get a fortune cookie though. That was really disappointing because if you remember, the winners were a catastrophe. Then I got the fortune, and everything changed.
Yeah.
We'll worry about that next time. I know many of you were concerned about could Scott figure it out. Well, guess what? I did.
He did.
Really proud of myself. While we've taken a left turn from the sports conversation, I have a couple of things I'm interested in. I need an answer from you on this one. I want you to think seriously.
I've watched a lot of TV.
Okay.
TV? No? Okay.
I watched games. I got NBA talk.
Watched documentaries.
Okay, well, I'll ask you about that in a minute. I want you to think about this, and I want you to answer it honestly. Steve has 3 children. I have 3 children. They're young. They've graduated from the sippy cup stage to the bottle stage. I want you to answer this honestly. Don't embellish. How many water bottles do the Coughlin family have?
Oh, I'll put us against anyone in the country. I swear to God.
Put a number on it.
78.
You've got us beat.
I'm telling you, they got
78.
I've been meaning to do it. We have a giant dining room table. Of course, we never use unless it's for big meals and holidays. Yeah,
things of that nature.
I think I could fill up the whole coffee table with cups.
And I'm
talking Yeti, Stanley.
The whole
what's
deal.
the new one? curse circle. We got that one now.
Yeah, my daughter got the new one. Whatever the new one is. Apparently, Stanley, you're out.
Whoa.
I'm not saying that.
Don't say that because they're listening to this and it's going to be, oh, God.
Who, Stanley? I don't mean it. I'm sure
No. I'm saying my kids.
Oh, no.
So now we're going to have 6 more.
Oh, God. No.
I'm telling you.
Cece, your cup's awesome. You don't need any more cups. Daddy is at the cup maximum. I just want to know because anytime we go somewhere, it's like, do you have a thing of water? And the answer is normally no, because they left it somewhere. So then we get a new one.
Yep.
And then the new one goes in the car. And then when we walk out of the car, we leave that one in the car. Like, you're in charge of the Yeti or the other thing.
Stanley, yeah.
We have different ones that have the screw on top that have like more like a plasticky, not plastic, but yeah, it's plastic, like kind of almost chewy. You can almost chew on the thing. They're everywhere.
Do you have one?
No.
Our Secret Santa, I made a rule, no Stanleys. What did I get?
A Stanley. Yeah. Come on, Secret Santa. No Yeti, no Stanley. We're all set.
No, I'll do it. I'll line them up on it. I'm telling you.
Take a picture, send it out. Because I thought we've got an entire.
There you go. What's that one? Roommate. There you go.
Roommate.
All free ads here.
Sure. Get at us, roommate. This is a hefty vessel.
What do you got in there?
Shannon's got.
That's what she says.
Little Tito's, little tipsy Welshman in there, do you? For a little Monday pod?
A little breakfast concoction.
We have an entire drawer that's full, and they're big.
Dude.
They're not small,
yeah,
and they're
exactly.
getting bigger.
And they don't fit in. They're so big, they don't fit in cup holders in cars.
You know what? If you had any stones, you'd go in there and you'd thin out the thing tonight. And tonight at dinner, you'd lay down the law. You'd say, everyone, you get 3 cups. That's the end of it.
Scott, I've done that twice. I have 2 giant shopping bags filled with them in the basement. They don't even know. And the 2 cabinets are still, I'm telling you, these ones in the cabinets now, they're not even a year old.
Why?
I don't know.
Why do we do this?
It's unbelievable.
How many cups are necessary? You know what? Cup for the day. And that should be the cup. It can't be, like, you don't put on a new shirt 3 times a day. This isn't a Taylor Swift concert. We don't have wardrobe changes. Well, we don't have cup changes. Here's your cup for the day. By the way, tomorrow, dump it out. You can do it again.
It's water. You don't need to sterilize it. Water.
Sounds like you have a real crisis.
You are going to be amazed at how many we have.
Well,
it's gross.
Well, you've got maybe, I don't know, at least twice as many as we have. Maybe. You're saying 78?
I'm telling you. I'm trying to picture. We have 2 giant cabinets full of them.
Wow.
And we have more. A lot more.
We've learned one thing. You all listening out there. The moms and dads are nodding their heads going, yep. I don't know why. We have to, as parents, as the adults in the household, it's on us to get control of the cup situation.
Yeah, I'd love to trade them in for money. Because one thing I have not looked into is how much they cost, but I have an idea, and they ain't cheap.
You could go on vacation if you're able to trade those in. No more Stanleys or brew whatever's.
Brewmates, Yetis.
Again, I don't know what the one is that my daughter got. It looked like a fancy one. She's psyched to get it.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that you need to. I don't want anybody getting mad at me. I'm saying all of them. Across the board. We're all set.
They're reusable.
We're all set. I also have written down on the back of my card, Steve, Chalamet.
Okay.
Or to say it the way Action Bronson did when he was on with Pablo Torre. Timothy Chalamet. It flows off the tongue. You ever see when Action Bronson read that? We talked about this.
Yeah.
God, it makes me laugh. My girl's got an ass like a young Vlade Divac. Hell yeah. It's very funny. Action Bronson. That's me doing Action Bronson, reading Action Bronson tweets. Anyway, Chalamet, he won some award. And he gave the speech. And I loved his speech. Because he got up there and he's like, we're not really supposed to do this, but I'm just saying it. I'm coming for the all-time greats. Not arrogantly, like, I care about my craft. This is what I want to be. I want to be great like Brando, this and that. Then he mentioned Michael Jordan, Michael Phelps. And he's like, He was honest about his intention to try to work hard to be great at something. And he did it in a way that I found endearing. Not endearing sounds patronizing. I respected how honest he was about trying to be great at his craft. And since you guys hung out, it just reminded me of when he did the picks. And just to remind people, you said just a great dude.
It's funny. It came up yesterday when I was at the high school games. People were asking about game day and the whole thing. And everybody's favorite thing was like, how was Chalamet? I'm like, unbelievable. I'm like, came prepared. He must have asked somebody what my name was, but he knew everybody else's name and knew mine, came over, shook everybody's hand. But with the guest picker, it's funny because they're looking right at me where I sit on the desk when they're doing it. And, like, I'll always try and give, like, a nod of confidence, like, yeah, nice, good job, little clap. And he was, like, rocking in his chair because he was so excited. He had his own notes, and it was incredible. It's genuine. And then I started reading a little bit, and because I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm dying to see it, the Bob Dylan one, because I was like, Bob Dylan. And I'm reading Bob Dylan.
What's your favorite Bob Dylan song, Steve?
Hurricane.
Okay. Actually knew one. I'm amazed.
Read the book and watched the movie.
Okay.
Fascinated by it. But Dylan had a hand in the movie. And then Chalamet with, like, 3 years. 3 years of prepping for that thing that he did. So I'm doing my homework before it because I am not a Bob Dylan fan. I know who he is. Like I said, the Hurricane thing, when I was younger, I was infatuated with it, read that book and the whole nine. So, yeah, I'm super fired up. And, as good as level-headed, or maybe not level-headed is the right word, but as down-to-earth as...
And the award he won, by the way, is a SAG award. And the quote was, I want to be one of the greats. I'm in pursuit of greatness. I just think that's fantastic. I respect that level of honesty. Mm-hmm. When you win something, that there's gratitude for it, and he said it's just more fuel for it. I just thought it was really cool. It's a really hard needle to thread to get it
right,
to say it in a way that doesn't feel arrogant, because it didn't. It felt like it was honest, that I want to be great, and it seems that he is. And he knew the Ohio quarterback, and he did well picking games.
There you go.
Timothy Chalamet. Shout out to Bronsolino. You watched a documentary?
I watched a bunch.
What?
We Beat the Dream Team.
Oh, that's supposed to be awesome.
Very good.
Okay.
The Access, our guy PJ Carlissimo, Coach K, part of the twist about it. But Chris Webber and our guy Jamal Mashburn, talking about meeting Larry Bird for the first time and how much shit he talked. And then how they got Rodney Rogers to talk about it. I don't want to, I want everybody to watch it. I told Sheehan last night. He went home. I woke up to a text from him this morning. But it's fantastic. The footage they have from the game, and the idea is it's Bobby Hurley, Penny Hardaway, Chris Webber, Jamal Mashburn, Eric Montrose, Rodney Rogers, and I'm missing somebody else. Oh, Grant Hill. He's the narrator of the whole thing. They were the select team, and I thought Mashburn makes a great point because that was the first year pros were going, and that would have been the team. It would have been these guys, and Mash is like, it kind of ticks me off still to this day that was that year. Just the timing of it. I mean, Olympic athletes go through it all the time, but it's just awesome the way it's done, and they did a fantastic job. After that, the Netflix Court to Gold, which documents the basketball tournament from the Olympics this past summer.
That's the one that had the Durant quote
Correct.
that made the rounds last week.
Yes. And our guy Rosillo's in it.
Is he?
Yeah. Great. I think that's his house that he's at, too, which is just...
He's got a nice property.
Yeah.
Things worked out well for the youngster since the old... If I buy a candy bar, can I use your dumper? I like to feel like that was the launch point.
The access is incredible. France with Wemby and Batum is just fantastic about being at home for the first time in the Olympics in Paris. Canada trying to make that move with Shea and Dylan Brooks. Steve Nash talking about his old days. RJ Barrett's incredible. Serbia with Bogdanovic and
how did they not
Jokic.
Win that game?
And their coach is this legend, just a badass of a guy. Germany's in there with Schroeder. But my problem is that Canada loses, France loses, Serbia loses, and they go in the locker room. And when I'm telling you, these teams are crushed. Tears, like ugly cry face hugs, like it's real. But we didn't get anything in the USA locker room. Like, they're down to Serbia. You know, like, they talk about how much it was. They don't give us anything in the USA. Like, the one thing, and you're watching this, you want to see, like, they're getting beat by double digits. And we don't get anything. And it was just a huge letdown to me. The access they had and the way they go about it. But it was just a huge letdown not to see that act. LeBron, Steph, I mean, you know that team. Like, to be looked at or to be able to get a view of what that was like. If you're going to show these other countries and teams at their worst moments, I thought we were going to get a little more. And
that's disappointing.
Yeah, man. It was.
You'd love to know who's the person that said the thing.
That's it. Or even if you give me the camera outside the door, but I have the microphone on, I could tell who's talking and who's not.
Right. You hear
and
that.
Kerr and even in PJ and the team that beat the Dream, like, they talk about the Team USA coaching staff. Like, that's what was really interesting, because it's a thankless job. You're expected to win gold by a lot. And if you do it, good job. You know, it's you're doing this as a build-up just not to be lost, and they are on the cusp of it.
Yeah.
And to see how that was ironed out, you never get. And it was just a bummer because, like I said, the access. I mean, the Steph Curry game and him talking and, you know, making it his moment, how the team was constructed, who the guys were. It gives you all that. And but yeah,
that's a rough blind spot, because that's what you would want to know more than anything.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. That's all I wanted was that, because that game was absolutely incredible. The way they came back in that game and those guys, but, like, you know, Serbia loses to U.S. earlier, and at half, like, Durant comes in off the bench and makes like 4 threes, I think, in the second quarter. And the Serbian coach comes in and just berates. He's like, who's guarding Durant? Who's guarding Durant? It's pretty simple now. You can't. I find someone else. And, like, they just go, like, and it's just the pride they have. And then, like, Vlade, you mentioned Vlade Divac. It's just funny because it goes back to Yugoslavia and how close they were. And then the country breaks up. And you see what Serbia becomes in this basketball pride. Like, it's just always been a thing. So there's plenty to learn from. It was just a letdown not to be able to see that. But it's definitely worth watching.
I have NBA notes.
Okay.
The West is mayhem, but I don't know if it matters.
Oh, okay. You're saying OKC is far and above in their own tier.
I just believe in them.
Okay.
I just believe in them. I think that there is a word that coaches use in basketball a lot: connected. They are. You saw it all throughout last year. You see it again. You can't fake liking each other as much as that group does. They have a clear alpha and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but they have all those other guys that clearly have voices and are appreciated for whatever it is they contribute to the mix.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the one last year, and they didn't get past. They didn't make it.
Yeah.
I think that all this Lakers talk, which is fun, they go and they thump Denver, and you're like, this might be fun. Yeah, it might. Golden State, you're like, ooh, Jimmy. All right, yeah. That's just the back end of things.
Mm-hmm.
You just think OKC. I think they've got the best player in the NBA right now, and that's, as I say that out loud, I'm like, wow, that's hard to say, because when Jokic does Jokic stuff, you're like, well, come on.
Yep.
Come on. But I think that there's an ease. What do you have? 37, I want to say it was Sunday night when they beat Minnesota. And I don't think he ever looks rushed or forced. And I just love the construction of that group. And so as much fun as all these other storylines are in the West. And there are so many of them.
Yep.
And the back end of it's insane. Mm-hmm. Minnesota's the 7. Dallas is the 8. Golden State's the 9. The Lakers are in the mix above that. I believe in OKC.
I'm with you. I've talked about for years now that how much I think they're the best watch. I was pissed at how not much they were on the major TV networks last year because I thought he was worthy of the MVP. I believe Golden State's going to make this real interesting. I think that everybody's going to talk about the Lakers. I just look at Golden State as a team with, all right, we made some moves. We still have the old nucleus.
Championship DNA.
Draymond already putting his name out there with the predictions at the All-Star break. You know you're going to get fully invested of him. Kuminga's coming back. I believe that team's going to make. Now, how far can they go? Or how far up the standings can they go? Because
that's the question. You're going to want to avoid the wrong team early.
But the other thing is, what I love about this and the way it's set up, because I think to help the image of the league, I also found it pretty interesting that as bad talked about as the league was after the All-Star break, those 2 documentaries come out documenting NBA guys and trying to show something. I just thought that was very interesting when they came out. But OKC is going to get tested in different ways no matter who they play, which is going to be awesome.
Look, that's old school. That's old school NBA because to get to the finish line, you're supposed to have to go through challenges. You're
Correct.
supposed to have to climb over obstacles, and ideally, it should be through a LeBron or a Steph, or maybe both. Because if you want to be truly seen as great, then who you beat tends to matter. Although history also tends to get real foggy about who you beat if you win a championship.
Yeah, but OKC, because of their defense too, I think you put them higher than those other teams now. You got a fast forward, figure it out now after the All-Star break because there's less games than before, obviously. But it's super, super interesting. We get the Western Conference Finals this year, I'm pretty sure. And the East, Cleveland or Boston.
I agree with that. Knicks are fun, and the Garden will be fun, but I think it's those two. And I realized something last night as I watched Cleveland. When we go to work, and this is our job, and it's, believe me, at 20-some-odd years in, it's still absurd. We got however many screens on, we got games, and we're watching, and that's our job. We sit around and tell jokes and bust chops, and then we go down and do a show, and then we go home, and that's our work. I get it. Believe me, I know. Blessed beyond reason. But I realized as I watched Cleveland on a devoted one screen last night, it's the first time I've done that this year. I watch them at work all the time when they're on. But I realized, okay, we were looking at the Texas Tech game got close at TCU. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are you watching with watch every possession with all right, wow, they just run Allen and Mobley at the rim, and you got to deal with both of them. And then they spread you out, and they got how many guys that make threes? Oh, wow. Here's my guy I loved at Virginia, Ty Jerome, who with Garland out had a monster game. They got the Strus getting loose wherever he's at. Donovan's clearly the guy. But I watched him play a Memphis team that, I want to say, what's this, 2 in the West right now? I believe that's what it is.
Yeah. Them or Denver.
Cleveland gets whatever it wants, wherever it wants, at all times. And we had Darius on the show talking about Kenny Atkinson being a new voice and how the threes become more of an emphasis for them. And Boston has earned the right to say that it's still them because they're them still. But Cleveland, watching them last night, I'm like, damn. Could this team win 16 games? We talk about winning 6. Could they win 16 games? I think you said it right. I think it's them or Boston.
Oh, no doubt. The Knicks are great. They got it's going to be the same deal. Towns has been fantastic since coming over. They just don't have enough guys.
I believe that's correct.
The other teams, and then what Boston did in the first half, and the Knicks came all the way back. I think they got it to 6 or 8. But Boston with Porzingis, which you go back, we didn't really get a ton of last year. You know, when they're at full strength, and that's the key is in this season. And I still don't get it because guys are playing less than ever, but it's all about health, and teams still can't get there healthy. But Tatum, I think, is a guy that could take a next step. I would make Boston the favorite over Cleveland, but I was with Russillo in New Orleans when the DeAndre Hunter trade was made for Cleveland. He's like, that's big. because now they have another guy they could switch when it comes down to, because Cleveland doesn't. If you play Strus in crunch time, they're going to go at him.
They're going to hunt him.
Yeah,
Yep.
And just like they hunted Luka, in the final last year. So it's super interesting to see the chess pieces. I love Atkinson. I think he's a great coach, and you could see the difference of opinion has had a effect on him. But it should be those two. But like you said, the idea of multiple bucket getters, where you're in a bind and multiple guys could do it for you, it's a nice option to have.
And multiple different ways.
Great. Yeah.
Multiple different ways. Like they can. I don't know. It was just really interesting to see. Like, can Memphis get a stop? Not a lot. Hard to slow down.
The one series I want to see in the East is if the Knicks stay there, and like I said, it doesn't matter if you're 3 or 4. I would love to see Knicks Pistons. Give me that.
We're like an old married couple. Somehow you didn't know it, but you threw me an alley-oop because on my card, for the first time in my recollection, I want to make a point of emphasis to say, Detroit Pistons, good for you. This is a team, Steve, that a year ago won 14 basketball games.
Mm-hmm.
Won 4. They get Bickerstaff, who Cleveland decided we're going to move on from after they made the playoffs and lost to Cleveland. The Atkinson thing works out well, but look at Detroit. They beat Atlanta on Sunday night. They've won 6 consecutive games, and the thing that we do, and I hate that we do it. I hate it. And in we means all of us in media. Remember when Cade Cunningham was at Oklahoma State for that year?
Mm-hmm.
Every game is an event. We make a big deal out of it. He goes number 1. Then he goes to Detroit, and he might as well have moved to Bolivian.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Detroit's not good. I get it. But this is a number 1 pick who this happened, and you're the only guy that pointed it out a couple of years ago when Urban coached Jacksonville and they got Trevor Lawrence and he was the number 1 pick, and it was like they were bad, and so we just forgot that he existed.
Yeah.
Well, Cade Cunningham didn't die or move to Bolivia. He averages over 25 a game. I got his number somewhere. It's 20. He averages, what is it? It's like 25 and almost 10 assists per. And Malik Beasley's doing an awesome job apparently off the bench, like massive numbers, 3-point numbers. And they've got a depth of scorers. You get pieces that are guys you don't think about, like a Hardaway from Dallas.
Yep.
It's like, okay, he can be a double-digit guy. And Duran, who they got from a grown man, Memphis. All these pieces, are they talked about nationally? No. Because there's so many storylines and so many interesting things in the East, and then out West is mayhem. Detroit, I see you. 6 in a row. Your number 1 pick's playing great. Bickerstaff, good for him. You find an immediate place where you can make an impact. And I don't know if they're good or not, but you say you want to see the Knicks in Detroit, fine. Sign me up for that too. The bottom line is Detroit, who has been horrendous, is now really good and winning games. And we don't pay attention to it a ton on SportsCenter as it relates to these other ones. And that's on me. So this week when they play, I'm going to make sure I make a point of like doing it on camera and saying something about it. Because they're good. And their number 1 pick's playing like a number 1 pick. And it shouldn't happen quietly. It should get – we love it when it's a new thing, and then once they get to the next level, it's like, all right, what's the next thing? That's dumb. This is the thing we waited for him to be. Can he be a star in the NBA? Yes, he is. Doing it right now. All you got to do is watch it. That's all.
It's kind of, I think, why we click also is we want to be in front of the story. Like, Detroit's interesting to you, but so many more people would just beat the idea of Luka being on the Lakers and how different he looks in a Lakers jersey. Whereas I want to know what the next team is. There's going to be 16 teams in the NBA playoffs. We're going to have plenty of time to talk about the top teams. It's the same thing with the NCAA tournament. I want to know where the teams are in the mix. Like, I make my list every year. I want to know what lines. They're not going to all be 1s and 2s. Like, where are they going to be? And the Pistons thing's a great example of just looking at them, what they've become. There's some crazy stat I saw last night about Cade having the most 20-point games or so many in this year amongst the league leaders. And again, it was a guy you saw 1 year at college, and I didn't know. Going back to Russillo again, he was like, no doubt, number one, the way he facilitates, ball handling, playmaking ability. And I'm like, I just wanted to see more. And I get selfish because I was like, I want to see that guy do more in college. I want to see him, go farther in the tournament. I don't even know if they made the tournament. I think they were one and done. But no, it's a great example of what's next, and a team that, I mean, you pointed out the numbers. It's been as bad as anything. Striking out on picks and the way the roster was constructed the last couple of years with like 5 bigs. I didn't think Cade was in a great situation, but happy for Bickerstaff. And I mean, it's funny. Somebody posted the clip the other night of like, this is when I love the NBA, and it was the year the Pistons beat the
Lakers
with Rasheed, and they went back to the starting lineups where that guy had it going with Chauncey Billups. Oh God, that place was alive.
I was new at ESPN. What year was that?
2004.
Yeah, I was relatively new at ESPN, and I remember doing this, being new guy full of piss and vinegar, being like, we still going to do this thing where we're going to talk about the Lakers more, even though they're down. They're going to lose this series. We're still going to talk about them and not the team that's winning the series. I was furious.
What if they played best of 9?
Like, exactly. It's like, you guys want to try to stretch it out, like lobby the NBA for this team that's clearly not as good as the team that's going to win the series? I'm right a lot. I don't get anybody retroactively saying, yeah, Scott, we probably should have done that. That's fine. I sit here and secure in the knowledge that I was right. And all that Lakers talk was folly. You got anything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. It's an ongoing thing, and it is every place you go to.
This is going to be important, everybody.
It's really important because March Madness is coming up, NBA playoffs. Everybody wants a TV.
Here we go.
But these establishments that just don't know how to do the TVs.
Oh, like the other.
It is fucking brutal.
How about the other night when we were in Bentley's watching the end of Canada, USA, we got somebody wanted the sound.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, we were on we were on the Lifetime network.
Yeah. And then the idea of closed caption being on every TV. You're blocking the scorebook.
Yeah, we need someone in that can figure out the remote and how to get rid of that.
You got to have a person designated for TVs. There's plenty of guys that come in to your establishments every day that could do it. We have to have the people that are working there that could do it. It's not that hard. Put a game on. That's what people want to watch. And you know what? Even 1 second while you're on your phone more, you could look up what channel it's on. Very simple.
So on review, if you have a watering hole, make sure someone's there that's part of the AV crew.
That's it. It's not hard.
Remember the day they'd bring in the old audio visual? I'm dating myself. They'd plug it in and then it wouldn't work. It's the same thing, right? Wait, how do I get the picture? How do I get the picture to be? I'm talking even older than that. We had like pictures that would be projected up on a wall. I might as well be talking about when the fucking dinosaurs ran wild. What are you talking about, man, Belt?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Doesn't matter. The guy that would
pterodactyls.
Steve says they're not real.
Old birds.
Doesn't believe them. Thinks dinosaurs are fake.
Pretty simple. Big week.
See you Wednesday night, 6:30. Make plans accordingly. Be there early.
Oh, I'm going to a place I've never been.
Oh, okay. One last one from Steve. Where are you going?
Taking the oldest to the SEC women's basketball tournament in Greenville, South Carolina. Never been. Let me know.
You're going to Greenville?
Greenville, South Carolina, babe.
Okay.
Tigers just clinched top 4 seed. We'll see you Friday. First time little daddy-daughter trip, so fired up.
Okay.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. By the way, it's Michigan State. We talked long enough that the rankings are out. Michigan State, number 8. Dirty Terps, number 16. Number 16.
You going to be favored?
Michigan was.
I know.
I think analytically that'll be interesting to see. Probably.
Home team, money line.
Steve said it, not me.
You heard it.
I'll be the guy in the suit.
It's not a wear red, wear yellow.
It's always a thing.
Yeah, white.
I'll figure out what. I'll get my white suit from.
There
Patino.
you go. Come on now.
I do not own a white suit.
You do. You went to a whiteout party once.
I don't have a white suit.
What'd you wear?
What did I wear? I just wore a white linen shirt. White linen shirt.
Oh, yeah.
I had some white. You got white jeans, Steve? Do they make white jeans in big boy sizes for guys like us?
I was just gonna say, not in 40-34.
You know what our job for the day is, because it's nice outside.
Yeah.
Our here's the homework. We got to go find big boy white jeans.
No chance
for the summer party scene.
No, what's the fashion? You only wear white between Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Look at Steve over here.
White pants.
It's a very narrow window.
Yeah.
So we got time to get them, is what you're telling me.
You know how fast those would get dirty?
Right? Get wing sauce all over them. Spilling stuff. Absentmindedly wiping things on them. Yeah, that's not for big guys. All right, Steve's going to go get his cup drawer sorted out. And you got to get us a photo.
I'll
post
it
out, because I'm sure.
I'll post it.
There we go. It's important. Because somebody's going to have you beat.
I don't know.
Steve's a 1 seed in most cups had. All right. We've enjoyed your company long enough. Hopefully you've stuck with us until the bitter end. Enjoy your week. We will see you soon.